Hello, I'm Malcolm Harslett. After graduating from the Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts with a Bachelor of Music Theatre in 1999 and a diploma in music composition, he's appeared in the musicals Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, We Will Rock You and Shout. He won a Helpman Award for Best Cabaret Performer in 2016, a Green Room Award for Best Supporting Actor in Jersey Boys, and his acclaimed one-man shows In Vogue, songs by Madonna, Sweet Dreams, songs by Annie Lennox, Adolescent, Lucky, songs by Kylie, and Cole. He's delighted critics all over the world with 5-star reviews and standing ovations, which I'm doing now. Who is he? You'll find out next on OurTime. If you haven't guessed already, our very special guest is Micheal Griffiths. Is that a problem that you've got a s at the end of your name? It's a thinness.
It is a little bit of a tongue twister and it is often omitted.
Have you ever written a song with Micheal Griffiths?
Griffiths with an S, not Griffith with a... No, I haven't.
It goes not. Yes, exactly.
No, I haven't.
Micheal, I saw you work some years ago and I was just so impressed with your communication ability with the audience.
Thank you.
And we were just talking a minute ago and I said, did you ever see Peter Allen work? Because he had that same amazing sort of rapport with an audience because you felt like watching you that you're performing just for me.
Thank you.
In the audience.
Well, that's a lovely compliment and certainly that's what you hope people feel like, that you know, you want to
But do you consciously go for that or is that just you?
I consciously don't play an audience. I consciously play individuals, and I think that maybe that's the trick, but I would never just kind of direct things. I just kind of like, I'm going to give you something, then I'm going to give you something. And and I think by osmosis, people feel like...
It's everybody.
Yeah, but I'll always play individuals in an audience, and I think that's the trick.
But
it's more fun because you want to see if you can get something from someone, and it's really, and sometimes spend a little longer on someone than is what is expected or comfortable.
I call it a tennis match.
Yeah.
It's sort of I hit it to you and hopefully you'll hit it back.
And I think too, with live performance, as you would know, it's about that relationship between you. You don't just do what you do and get watched. You get, you get them in and you find out what happens when they're included and what you get from them, and that's the thrill.
Well, unless people have been living in Antarctica and don't know who Micheal is, we're going to show you a little clip shortly, but I'd like to take you back to the beginning. How did it start, Micheal? And don't say in the hospital.
In Adelaide, had a piano in the house, always loved playing, played by ear, got sent off to piano lessons.
It's always hard, it's better with fingers.
This is true.
Yeah.
Dad jokes. No, keep them coming. But yeah, it started off with having a piano in the house and Mum lifting me up on the seat, and that Mum would have friends over and I'd just be the little show-off kid.
Did you actually play properly then?
Yeah,
You worked out how it went together?
I used to watch the ABC test pattern back in the days when there was a test pattern, and things like Music Box Dancer and kind of really kitsch, instrumental things would play, and I'd get up to the piano and I'd play what I'd heard. So that was my trick.
How did what went in there transpose to the fingers? Can you explain that?
Oh, look, I wish someone that could read music really proficiently explain how that happens, because I guess you just play to your strengths. My ears and my fingers work really well, but to this day, you put music in front of me and I need some time to either scribble chord symbols on or you know what, the first thing I do is I'll Google and I'll listen, because again, my ears will just help. And my eyesight's fading, Malcolm. So I just, sheet music is impossible, and I'm envious of people that can play from sheet music, so.
They're envious of you because you can hear it and play it.
Well,
it's sort of like a dancer being able to hear some music and interpret the music.
Yeah, and I don't have that skill, so, but I have good ears.
No, but hang on, you're in the Jersey Boys, so you weren't standing around.
No, I was tapping toes and, there was kind of, what did we do? Oh, there was the famous Jersey Boys sort of walk. That one. So we did a lot of that, and everything was just kind of like sharp, but we weren't dancing. I got away as a singer mover. I went into Whopper without any dance skills, and I came out as a singer mover, but never called myself a dancer.
Most of the time, though, in music theatre, that's really what you want, because lead people don't puff themselves out by skipping the light fantastic too often.
This is true, but I was in the ensemble mostly as hoofing, mostly dancing. So, but as a singer mover up the back, often.
Often, but you elevated. But getting back to the beginning again.
Yeah.
So where did the ability to sing, communicate and play at the same time, when did you recognise, hey, I can do this?
Not actually till much, much later. So it was music first, and I studied music in Adelaide. I studied composition at the Flinders Street School of Music, which is no longer with us, unfortunately. I had a wonderful time there. And then I fell in love with musical theatre, doing amateur musicals around town. So I did ones up at the Hills and, the Odeon and, the usual suspects, the Goodwood Institute. And then I fell in love with music theatre and went off to Whopper to learn to sing, dance and act.
But that's not an easy university course to get into. They've got to recognise, hang on, these people have got something special, because they're not going to waste their time with people that aren't. You have to audition.
Yes, you have to audition. This is true. I guess they saw potential, because I certainly wasn't very skilled. I was a musician, but I wasn't a singer, dancer or actor. But I went in, I think being a musician counts for a lot in music theatre, and singers that can read music really well. I mean, I say I can't read music, but as a singer I can, because I can read a single line proficiently and I enjoy it. It's just when there's, it's just Sondheim that kills me, kills everyone. Yeah. But as a singer, I love singing, choral music, because that I'm confident at. I think that does elevate you, being a musician.
Because they wrote tunes that are almost predictable. Like Cole Porter wrote songs that you can hear almost where it's going to go.
Yeah. Oh, but then he subverts. I mean, he was clever.
He does clever stuff.
He was very clever.
But you can feel where it's going.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of a good tune, is that kind of you feel like you already know it when you've heard it.
Yeah, but that's what we're missing a lot of. I feel, in modern music. It's just not. Popular music is popular because I think it's got a predictability about it.
Yeah, well, it's accessible. I think by its nature, it has to be accessible. Otherwise, it's not popular music. It's high art or it's jazz. Or
yes, quite. But so from Whopper, where did you go next? So you graduate with these degrees, as I said at the beginning.
Yes.
And then it's like, I've got to find a job.
Yes, you do. So we did a little showcase, and I remember my plan was, because essentially was Sydney or Melbourne was the town to live in, either or. And I thought, well, I'll do my showcase and I'll see where an agent wants me. And I only really had one agent really interested in me, and she was in Sydney. So I was like, right, I'm moving to Sydney. And this was in 1999, before the internet. And I don't know how I did it. I don't know how did we used to buy plane tickets? I don't know how I did anything, but somehow I ended up in Sydney with an agent.
It's amazing how we've forgotten that.
I've completely forgotten. I have no skills without
There's such a thing
phone.
as using the telephone and speaking with somebody.
Well, my agent, I had a fax machine, and my agent used to fax me auditions, and that's how I got the first script for the things I did. Or she'd phone me on my mobile, which was this large attached to my...
brick.
Yeah, yes. But I moved to Sydney, and then the first gig I got was actually a telemovie of South Pacific, the musical, that Glenn Close produced and starred in.
Right.
With Harry Connick Jr. as Cable.
I remember seeing that.
It was a real sort of stellar cast, filmed at Port Douglas, pretending to be, Bali High, pretending to be the South Pacific, of course. And that was my first gig. I'd been out of drama school, I don't know, 6 months, and that was super exciting because I was being paid to... we were fed. I was up there for a couple of months and we got fed.
It's good working on a film, isn't it?
Yeah. It's never happened since. It's the only film I've ever done. I was just a sailor. I had a couple of little featured singing lines. And I've seen it. It's terrible. And I haven't even seen the whole thing. I bought it on DVD and I lent it to another mate that was in it. And he never gave it back to me.
You can probably download it now.
You can go... Yeah, it's on... Yeah, you can search for it and... Yeah, but I'm not good in it. And I've never worked in film since. But that was my first gig. And then Shout with David Campbell was my first musical, and that was a year out of me graduating. And then I did sort of long runs in musicals for
before we follow your story, let's just have a look at this short clip to just see what Micheal is doing now.
Come on, girls! Do you believe in love? I got something to say about it, and it goes something like this. Don't go forsaken, best baby. Put your love to the test. You know you got to make him express how it feels, and maybe then you'll know your love is real. Express yourself. You got to make him express himself. Hey, 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 hey. So if you want it right now, make him show you how. Express what he's got, a baby ready or not. Express yourself, ooh, so you can respect yourself. Hey, hey. And that New York City is how you express yourself.
Our special guest in this episode of Our Time is Micheal Griffiths.
That's a gag now.
I love doing that. Micheal, from...
That's a Kath and... That's what it's Kath and Kim.
It's a Kath and Kim.
It's a Kath and Kim.
Yes.
Oh, that's Micheal Griffiths.
Micheal, so after going in some of the book shows, playing in some of the book shows that you did,
yes,
where did the thing of working alone begin for you?
It really came about when we were rehearsing Jersey Boys in 2000 and... Oh, no, it was before that. It was when I came back to Adelaide in 2006, just before Priscilla rehearsals, and it was my mum's birthday in June, so I thought I'll come back and see my mum. And the Cabaret Festival was on, and I'd heard of it, but I'd never been because it started after I'd left. Mm-hmm. And I went in and I saw 3 or 4 shows in one night, and then went back the next night and saw 3 or 4 more, and I just thought, I had sort of a penny drop moment. Thought,
I can do that.
I want to do that. That's how thrilling to just be alone on the stage, and I thought that was so thrilling to me, and I thought, right, that's what I want to do. And then a few years passed, and my mate who I lived with at Whopper is a writer, and he'd written a few cabaret shows for esteemed performers, Hugh Sheridan being one of them. He wrote a show for Hugh, the songs of Anthony Newley, called Newley,
that.
Which
That was great.
Spectacular.
Great piece, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful piece. So Dean Bryant, who was my flatmate and dear friend, I remember a few years later, he reached out to me and said, "Oh, Micheal, let's write a cabaret show for Adelaide Cabaret Festival. They want something." It was the year David Campbell's last year, and he was good mates with Dean as well. And David basically rang Dean and said, "What have you got?" And Dean said to me, "Let's do something." And I said, "Right, let's do a show about Madonna." And that's how it happened. So it was really the seed was planted, and then Dean reached out, and suddenly we had a green light for a show that was literally just that. It was no more concept, and I'll sing Madonna tunes and it'll be fun. And then we got to work, and then it debuted. It was 2011 in Adelaide, and then that was such a thrill again that it sort of created a domino, and then I'm like 8 shows later now.
8 shows later, and more than 8 performances all over the world.
Yeah, all over the place.
What's been the highlight, do you think? All of it.
All of it. Look, it's wonderful to travel somewhere and perform to an audience of, in a foreign country. Like it's like, Adelaide, I kind of like to think there's enough family and friends that if I put on a show that people will come and see me.
But it's gone past that a long time
But to go somewhere else and have people come and see you, that is a real delight.
Well, the New York work, that must have been fascinating.
That venue, so I've played 3 times in 3 different venues, but I mean, it's hard to talk about these things and not sound like you're completely boasting, but you asked, so I sound like I'm boasting. But I remember hearing about 54 Feinsteins below, Feinsteins 54 below, sorry, with a slash. It's like Griffith with an S. It's a mouthful. So Michael Feinstein, obviously the master of the custodian of the Great American Songbook, and it's a venue in what was Studio 54, the disco, and it's his little cabaret room. And I remember when that was announced that it was going to be a thing, I thought, I want to play there. And a similar thing happened. I guess it sounds like The Secret, where you say, it sounds like Eat, Pray, Love. Right, universe, listen up. This is what I want. I mean, if only it happened all the time, but this time there was a ripple effect, and I ended up getting a phone call saying, "Oh, Michael, do you want to play at 54 Below when you're in New York next?" And I did my Madonna tribute there, and Caroline O'Connor was in town rehearsing. And she came to see me and sat with my partner, Daryl, and led a standing ovation. And that was one of the best I just remember it was one of those shows, and it so rarely happens, when everything goes right
Yes.
and every joke lands and you
Yes.
don't make mistakes and you don't forget a lyric.
Yes.
And obviously that's the exception because it's live and, you know, we're human beings. But that show, just everything went right.
And there's a clip of that on...
Yes.
on,
yeah, in that,
well, if you
yeah.
Google Micheal Griffiths... with a,
Yes, you should be able to find it.
It's there.
I actually did a shout out to Caroline O'Connor. I couldn't resist. And at one point I did a Candour and Ebb kind of, you know, the Candour and Ebb vamp.
Thing.
And Caroline O'Connor put her leg up. You know, all the Americans were like, "Who's this lady? What's going on?" But as an Australian who'd seen Chicago 20 times, like that was just, you know, it was Christmas.
But Michael, it's a terrific career with somebody who deserves it.
Thank you.
That's the truth.
Thank you.
And it's actually hard to explain. Television can do this because a close-up can happen like that and you can talk directly to people at home, which is wonderful. But it feels like you're in close-up talking to the audience, like I said at the beginning, with just them. And that's a genuine gift that not all performers have. And also, when you're doing a book show, somebody's done it before usually. So you really have to reproduce what they did. But when you're doing your stuff, it's your stuff. You might be singing other songs, but the presentation is your stuff. That's what makes it good, I think.
Thank you. Well, I think...
How do you comment on that?
I have nothing to say. Oh, you know what
I'm a
actually
fan.
has been a real blessing is working with Carlotta, who I've worked with for 4 years now as her music director, and she obviously has spent a lifetime being the boss of the crowd, and it's been like a kind of what's it called when you do learn a trade, like you become
apprenticeship.
Yeah, and that's the word. Just look at me, the music theatre doesn't have, that's not in my vocabulary. It's like a cabaret apprenticeship to be her pianist and just watch her connect, you know, hold a crowd in the palm of her hand. And I certainly aren't at her level, but I think to have spent 4 years travelling around with her has been, I've stolen some of her tricks, I reckon.
But I was lucky to have the same thing, to work with people that had been there for a long time before and to watch what they did, how they did it, and then you find your way of doing it.
Yeah.
It's not their way, it's not a copying of, it's finding your path, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's very old school too. It's about, I mean, there's something wonderfully old school about a theatre and that sort of work we do.
I think a lot of it's been lost because even with television, everything is, TikTok kids today, it's such short stuff, or it's YouTube clips, or it's whatever. But suddenly you're in a room, you're sharing this moment in time with another group of people, you're all breathing the same air as the performer.
Yeah.
Nothing can beat that.
No, and I'm not very tech savvy, and I feel I'm too old, but I see the TikTok and the young people and think, it's not for me.
Everything keeps rolling. Everything changes with each age group.
Yeah.
There'll be another thing come along.
Yeah.
You know, but live stuff is live stuff.
Yeah, and you can't fake it either, and that's the thrill. You can't fake.
No, you can't.
TikTok you can fake because you can practice and it's no good, and then you can go again.
Yes.
Once you step out on a stage, that's it.
That's it.
It's all on.
Yep.
And then if it goes wrong, well, that's a thrill. That's a gift. In fact, often things go wrong is when you get to win people over, because if you can roll with punches, that's when audiences appreciate you.
Well, if they don't know you and haven't specifically come to see you, that's when you actually have to really pull the tricks out of the bag.
Yeah.
So what's in the future for you? We're all fingers crossed the Fringe is going ahead.
Yeah. I'm doing a couple of shows opening weekend of the Fringe with Carlotta, bringing her down, and my own show, which is called Greatest Hits because I've run out of creative ideas. But it means I don't have a script and I just get to sing some of my favourite tunes. I've got a band, so it's just a little festive, feel-good. I think we all need feel-good entertainment.
Absolutely.
So it's just a feel-good greatest hits because why not? And then I'm off to Queensland to work with Stephen Oliver, who's on Black Comedy on the ABC.
Oh, right.
We collaborated a year ago. We were at Whopper together, and then he's gone on to become, TV famous.
Yes.
So I'm his music director on a show of his original songs that we hope to bring back here. It actually started here at Adelaide.
Oh, okay.
But we're doing a season in Queensland and hoping to tour Australia next year.
Do you find that collaboration is enhancing what you're doing alone?
I love collaborating now.
Yes.
That's become really important to me.
It's a bit of a family thing in a way, isn't it? Even if it's just a couple of people.
Yeah, I think that's what's thrilling about the creative process is riffing off other people, and I'm all about collaborating now. Even just now that I've performed with a band, I hate when it's just me. I want my bass player, my drum, I want another singer. Yeah, I'm greedy that way, but that's exciting for me.
No, but
sharing it.
But it is the family thing. It's sharing that experience with others, because you can't go home and talk to anyone afterwards and say, "Oh, didn't you remember when that on and that happened?" Then they laughed.
Yeah, it's the debrief in the dressing room. It's nowhere near as fun in the dressing room by yourself. It's sort of sad.
No.
But when you've got a few mates with you that are sharing that you're going to go on with and then have a drink after with, that makes it really.
Well, you've been helping some others to find their path as well, of late.
Yes, doing lots of different kind of mentoring around Adelaide with the Adelaide Cabaret Festival, and I run with Amelia kind of adult cabaret workshops too. If anyone's interested, it's cabaretlab.com. You can find us. And actually, I think that's been a real gift too, in that when you teach something, it just makes you question, what is it? How is it that I do what I do? And I know that's kind of a cliche, but yeah, teaching has absolutely made me so much more in tune with what I do, because I've had to question it.
Yes. You reassess everything that you know to say, is there a twist now with this?
Yeah.
We can keep talking for hours, but we can't. It's not time to go yet, however. We'll just take a short break and we'll be back with Michael. Just talk a little bit more about the Fringe. Our special guest is Micheal Griffiths. Michael, cabaret has really opened your world up, the term cabaret, because it was the Cabaret Festival that you more or less started being, Micheal Griffiths.
Absolutely.
And it's changed. Cabaret, the whole genre of cabaret has sort of twisted and become a lot of things rather than just what the definition, I think, in the dictionary is. It's a show that's topical, often with only one or two people, with food and drinks.
Food and drink, yeah.
But it's more than that now.
It is more than that. I mean, certainly, I guess it depends what floats your boat, but the Adelaide Cabaret Festival has a tradition of the Broadway, singers singing songs from often a Broadway composer or a Great American Songbook, and telling anecdotes between them as a kind of to dumb it down. I mean, I've certainly slipped into a kind of bio cabaret, but with a pop twist, because I've studied artists that I grew up with. Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. They're the people you've grown up with, the music you listen to, the music you're able to hear and play, make your fingers do. Yeah.
So, what about you? Where do you think your cabaret career will continue? Will you become an original composer, writer?
That's something that's on a distant list of things to do.
Well, working with Carlotta, there's an opportunity. Working with the guy you're about to work with.
With Stephen. Yeah, well, his is all original. And, look, I guess I'm not confident I feel like songwriting's not been a priority for me, so I feel like I'd rather work with people that it is. And Stephen's a really fabulous songwriter, but I've been involved in sort of helping shape his songs for cabaret, because he's essentially written pop songs, but they're personal and they have stories in them. And that's the trick. It's what's the story, and then, it's...
Really, that's watching you complete a story that we've never considered in that song before, in most cases. That's what I feel watching you, this lovely communication. We've got to communicate ourselves away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Malcolm.
And I hope you have great success this year with the 2 shows you're doing for the cabaret, for the Fringe, for the Fringe with the sari on the top. Till next time on Our Time, we'd love to have your company next time. Until then, keep yourself nice. We'll see you then. Bye. Next time on Our Time, we're talking to Patrick Gorsey about the Morris Car Club.
Indeed, Michael. We're going to be talking about driving, owning a car and being a member of a car club.
And a car club that's sort of the past, not of the future.
Indeed, indeed.
Wonderful. And we're also talking with John Bennett, telling stories all over the world, particularly for the Just for Laughs festivals.
Yeah.
Where have you been, John?
I've been all around Canada and America and the UK and all over the place.
That's next time on Our Time. We just need you.